What's up guys, it's Nofsky with Academia Audio, and today I'm going to show you how I made this.
But we'll make it through the storm together.
Alright guys, this is a remake of the song Through the Storm by Don Diablo. And something I noticed about his music, besides the future-based stuff, I'm talking more like the songs like this and his song Bad, they all have these really catchy lead lines, and the sound design is what really intrigues me. And so I wanted to recreate that, and then also I'm not just going to recreate the lead, I had to recreate the whole song too, just because it's a bop, so let's dive in. So let's dive into the synth bus first. This lead is what really intrigued me about this song, and I want to show you guys how I went about making that. I used Serum, and this sound is actually in our Exhale Serum preset pack. You can find that down below. We have a lot of great presets, so definitely check that out. This sound was actually pretty easy to make. All I have on oscillator A is a saw rounded wave from the analog section. I also have a MG Low 18 filter on there that's being automated by envelope 2, and this is my shape, and then this is my shape for envelope 1. I also have some automation going on the fine tune from LFO 1. I have a little bit of noise being filtered through just to kind of give it a little more oomph in the background. I did attempt to do an FM from B, but I just wasn't really enjoying the sound, and I felt like the sound sounded better without it, so just ignore that. Diving into the effects, I have a little bit of hyperdimension for some width. I have some distortion, tube. I love tube distortion. I have a little bit of a phaser going on, some chorus, a little bit of delay, and the delay was actually a kind of a last minute add. As I was playing the track back and back and back again, I realized, man, there's a lot more movement in the background going on, and I achieved that by utilizing a delay with one timing being 1/8 and the right side being 1/4 on the ping pong effect. I filtered out some of the low frequencies so it was more in the background, and then I have the mix down really low, and it just really adds a lot. I don't know if you could really pick it out consciously, but unless obviously you're listening for it, but yeah. And then a little bit of compression going on. I did attempt the multi-band, but I just felt it sounded too tinny, and I went ahead and added an OTT later on in the processing chain. I have a little bit of EQ and then another filter just to tighten up that sound. I do have some automation going on some parts. I have a macro with the name of Bright, and that takes the filter off there. It removes the filter a little bit there, and it changes the wavetable over to more of a saw instead of a round, just to kind of make it more sharp sounding. And that automation is right here on each of these, and you can kind of hear that. So right when it whips up into that high note, it just kind of brightens up a little bit, and that's something I noticed in the song. Next, I just have a utility on there. I have some Saturn to grid it up a little bit. One of my favorite presets, the Saturate and Color preset. I have the drive at 44% with a clean tube. I have an EQ, and it's just boosting a frequency that I felt stood out in the lead in his song. Again, I was really trying to go after making it sound exactly like the lead in the original song, and so a lot of times you can find the frequency that that lead is really primarily sitting at, and then you can boost it a little bit and just kind of shape your sound sounding more like the original. And then next I have some OTT just at 49%, and then I have an EQ going on just to brighten it up a little bit, pull it back in the 1.5 range, boost it a little bit, that kind of thing. And that pretty much wraps up the lead. Besides, I have a little bit of plate reverb and some hall reverb sends going to this track. So that is it, and this is what it sounds like. Next, I just have a little lead stab, and it's just one of those little accents I felt carried over from the build up into the drop, and it sounds like this. Nothing too exciting. It was just one of those little micro details that I noticed that just adds to the whole song or the whole drop to make it sound more like the original. Next, let's move over to the bass bus. So I have two layers here. I have my sub layer and then I have my top bass layer. And again, guys, this is a remix, so the actual MIDI might not be exact as the original, but I did my best, so bear with me. So for the sub, I'm using one of my presets from the Exhale preset serum pack that I said you guys should definitely go check out. This is what it looks like, just a default wave with a little bit of bend going on. I'm automating that. With this. I have a low pass. That's my shape for envelope 1 or 2. Envelope 1 is standard. I dropped it down an octave. Some noise. That's also going through the filter. And these are my effects, just super simple. I did process it a little bit. I have a little bit of compression going on there. I have some R bass. You know, guys, the works, what I pretty much do with almost all my subs. I tweak the presets a little bit, but this is kind of where I like my subs to sit. The classic EQ pocket. So that is all that's going on there. For the bass, I do have a same preset, same thing going on. Add some Saturn, a little bit of warm tube, drive at 58%, and then it wasn't enough, so I added some decapitator with the beefy preset. Drive around there. I think I did tweak this knob a little bit to make it a little more bright, and then I took it from A to E. So that is all that's going on there. And then I have a EQ just to shape the sound, cutting it off at 100, pulling that top down at 3800, and this is what they sound like together. Next, I want to talk about the drums. There is some interesting things going on. Originally, I thought I was hearing just the 4 on the floor with just the snap clap combo, and then I realized there's actually some toms to give it a little groove, and so this is what that sounds like. And that tom really just adds so much to the drum groove. Without it, it just sounds plain Jane. This is without it. But the second you add that tom back in there, you just automatically catch yourself dancing. You know. Besides that, I do have some hi-hats going on, and in the track I realized that his hi-hats, they were not your standard hi-hats, and so I did my best to kind of get as close as possible, but I just used some hats, and then I added a lot of distortion, and then I sidechained them, and then I shifted them off grid just kind of uniquely, individually, just to give them a swing. So they're a little more gritty than your typical hi-hats, and it's pretty fun. So that pretty much wraps it up for the drum bus. I do have a little bit of saturation going on, 33%, and then I do have some R comp that I'm not even using. Next, let's dive into the effects. There's not very many of them, but there are a few key ones. This sweep is sidechained. And I did bring the thresholds up just a little bit so it wasn't really sidechaining as drastically, because that's what it kind of sounded like to me in the song. Again, this is a remake and I really was trying to make it sound as close as possible. Next, I did hear some kind of vocal chant, chop, something in the background of the second part, and so I grabbed the thing that I felt was closest to it, and that was this Kashmir vocal energy booster, and I cut out some of the lows, I sidechained it, and then I threw some micro shift on there to kind of spread it out, and this is what that sounds like. And that is it, guys. There's really not much. There is probably a lot more details in the original song, but this is what my ear picked up, and this is what I came up with, and I think it sounds pretty good. So I hope this inspires you. I hope you can utilize some of these sounds. Again, if you do like these sounds, you can find them down below. We have a few different packs. We have our Serum pack, we have our Genesis pack, which is a whole slew of multi-genre samples to get you started. If you are feeling stuck, there's all kinds of melody loops, there's all kinds of different drum samples, drum loops, drum fills, effects, risers, sweeps, vocals, you name it. It's down below, so definitely go check that out. We also have our free template, the one you see in every video, so you guys can stay in the creative flow as you're creating music. You don't have to keep going back and gain staging everything and all that. You have a good starting point to kind of push your music in the right direction and have it sounding good as you're going along, so you can focus purely on the creative side of it. That will wrap up this video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please put those down below. Definitely like, share, and subscribe. You guys have a blessed day, and peace.
But we'll make it through the storm together.